I'm Jerry Burnett, and I am doing this podcast over 4 pages in your workbook. So if you don't have your workbook with you, pause the tape, go get your workbook and a pen or pencil, and get ready to take some notes on this lecture. We'll be covering pages 1 to 15 and 16 in the workbook in this session. First of all, on page 1, you'll see a chart. And on that chart, in the first column, there are a lot of different questions or areas of your life that it's asking about. What I want you to do is use this as a personal inventory, read the item, and then in the 2 columns, put the first thing that comes to your mind that is uniquely you. Don't put something like going shopping, because millions of people like to do that. Or don't put something that's real generic. Be specific. Put in this chart things that are applicable to you. And what you're going to do with this chart is use it to as fodder for your speech topics throughout the semester. You're not going to turn this in, you're not going to send it to me, but you're going to use this chart to help you generate your speech topics, because I don't take any topic off the table. If you can make your topic be crafted to fit the speech, you can use it. So, for example, on the top it says 2 things you have made or played successfully. These could be things you made or played in your family, in school, on a team. So in all of these, please try to be specific and fill out the personal inventory this week. Then on page 2, you'll see that it says this is an audience-centered approach to the speech-making process. The blank writes the speech. What goes in that blank? Often students will say, obviously, the speaker writes the speech, or the speech writer writes the speech. If it's the president, that's not what goes in the line. The audience writes the speech. You should be audience-centered throughout the entire speech-making process. And you'll see there are 8 steps to the speech-making process on page 2. All of them lead to the center. All of them lead to consider your audience. Think about who your audience is. So although you're going to use your inventory to come up with your topics, because they're of interest to you, you're going to craft your speech to be interesting to your audience. And throughout the entire speech-making process. At the bottom it says it's not about you or points, how many points you're going to get. This isn't about a grade. It's about delivering a great speech that somebody else is going to watch. It's about your audience. Now, there are only 3 reasons why people speak publicly. The first one is to inform people. The second is to persuade them, and the third is to entertain. Now, you can be entertaining throughout all your speeches this semester. In fact, appropriate humor is very welcomed, but sometimes you might be informing, sometimes you might be persuading. We have both those types of speeches, but to entertain us in your speech in any of them would be a good thing. Now I need you to turn to page 15, and we're going to talk about the 2 theories that are used to craft one of your speeches. So on page 15, it talks about the Johari window. And on that page, you will see something similar to what I have here on the board. Johari, what does that mean? It's kind of an odd word. Well, it's a word that was formulated by using the names of the men who made this theory. 50 years ago, you could get a degree in history or math, but oral communication is not that old of a discipline. So we borrow our theories from sociology, psychology. We even have a math theory this semester that I think you're going to be a little surprised at, that we use to craft one of our speeches. So the Johari window, it's named that because, as you can see at the top of your page, it was a model formulated by Joseph Luft and Harry Ingham. They took the J-O from Joseph, the H-A-R from Harry, and the I from Ingham, and came up with the word Johari. Now, I'm only going to give you a brief overview of this theory today, but if you want to Google it or go online and type in Johari window, you'll get a lot more information about it than I have time to share. Or perhaps you have studied this theory in interpersonal communication or one of your other classes. So, what's this theory about? It's about how you communicate who you are. Now, according to this theory, you have 4 different areas of your life. 4 selves. And if you see, I have a blank self, blank self, blank self, blank self. These 2 selves are known to you, known to self. You know everything about you that's in this box and this box because it's known to self. The 2 boxes here, what goes in the top is not known to self. So what's in here and here are things about you that you communicate to other people or that are just about you that you don't even know about yourself. You think, well, how can that be? I'll explain it in a moment. Now that's how these go up and down. Known to self, not known to self. When you come across the rows, these two are known to others. This is what you communicate to other people. These two are not known to others. And so we call them different things. This one is called your open self. This one is your blind self. This one is your hidden self. And this one is called the unknown self. In fact, I kind of like to call this box the God knows self. It's things that you don't know about yourself and other people don't know either. Remember, not known to self, not known to others in this box. So let's look at the four kinds of selves that you have. Your open self. This is what you know about you that you're willing to share with other people. Now, what kind of things might those be? Sometimes it's something you overtly share. You might tell somebody what your major is, or where you go to school, or where your family lives. These are things that you're open about and you freely share it with other people. But there are some things that you might share with one person, but not want to share with others. I'm very open with my husband or my children, but if I'm with a stranger or maybe somebody I don't trust, I might not be so open to share or communicate about my life. That's what the hidden self is about. This is what you know, but it's not known to others. You choose not to share it with others. What kind of things might those be? Well, you teach little kids not to share their address and their phone number with strangers. How about if I have somebody that's lied about me or lied to me? I might be a little reticent to be open about all kinds of things in my life if I don't trust that person. So the outside, this whole thing, this whole window represents you and what you communicate. And the outside lines are you, but the inside lines are kind of fluid. They kind of move depending on who you're communicating with. Let's go over here to the blind self. Let's figure this out. Not known to you, but is known to others. What kind of things might those be? Here's an example I like to use. What if I came to class at 8 o'clock in the morning, broccoli all stuck in my teeth, green fuzzy broccoli pieces. Now, I didn't know that I had broccoli in my teeth, but the people in front of me in the class would. What might I be communicating? I'm blind to the broccoli, but what might my broccoli communicate to those in the class? One person might think, wow, she's weird. She likes broccoli before 8 o'clock in the morning. Or someone else might say in their mind, ooh, the teacher has broccoli in her teeth. She must have poor oral hygiene. While another person might just think, wow, she was in a hurry. She didn't brush her teeth this morning, or she was just in too big of a rush to check her mirror. So even though the broccoli is in my teeth, I don't know it. It could be communicating a variety of things to other people. That's your blind self. Another example I sometimes use in today's culture, pop culture, lots of people use the word like just using the word like. And they don't even realize they're using that word over and over. It's just a habit, a bad habit in oral communication. You might be blind to the fact that you use certain words all the time or that you project an image. Sometimes people twirl their hair and they don't realize they're doing it. But what does that communicate? Might communicate you're nervous or you're bored. So different things communicate to different people, but sometimes you're blind to what you're communicating. There's Paul Watzlawick says you cannot not communicate. And what that means is if there's anybody around you, you're communicating something. These things are things that you know, these are things you don't know, but you're communicating something if there's anybody that can even see you. Let's come to the unknown self, the God knows part. Now remember, these are things you don't know about you and nobody else does either. And when you're young, there are lots of things that you don't know about yourself. And even as you get older, there are still things you're always going to learn about yourself until you die. Okay? So as you're young, you got all these things, or anybody has all these things, and let's say you're sitting in a class and this one thing you discovered about yourself. Now you know what this is. Where are you going to put it? It can't stay in this box because this is not known to self and not known to others, but now you know whatever this is. It either has to go up here in the open pane because you're willing to share it with other people, or it comes over here to the hidden pane because you know it, but you're not going to share it with other people. Maybe you just found out that your grandfather was an axe murderer. That's not something you probably want to go around telling everybody, so that would stay in your hidden window. But what if you just discovered a talent you have? Or maybe you discovered a singing voice that you didn't even know you were possessing. Those are things that you might open up and share with other people. So the Johari window says we communicate differently with different people depending on if we trust them or not. And as we feel more comfortable, we usually share. But these are the 4 selves that you have and how you communicate in each window. Now on the bottom of the page, it says self-awareness is how much I know, and what goes on the line? Myself. Self-awareness is how much you know about yourself. Self-awareness builds self-respect. That could go on the line. Self-confidence. It builds up you and it opens you up for healthy. Oftentimes people say, oh, it helps you have healthy relationships. It does. When you communicate well, it does help you have better relationships. But what the word that I would like you to put on this line is it opens you up for healthy communication. Next, balance is so important, but sometimes hard to achieve. What this line means is, this line is fluid. All the lines inside are fluid. And sometimes you really do need to shut your open window and not share with somebody because they're going to tell your secret, or it's not a good thing for them to know. And you need your hidden pain to be really big with that person. But if you've got a significant other or a husband or people in your world that you want to build relationships to, you need to open and only hide just a little bit. Maybe your hidden line's there, it might even be smaller. So balance is so important. It's important to know when to open up and when to close down. For example, a girl shared in my class one day, she was sitting in the break room where she works, and she shared something with a coworker. And that coworker went and shared it with the boss. The next day, this girl got fired. She thought she was just speaking openly to this girl and had no idea. If she would have had a better sense of balance, she should have not opened up. So it's hard sometimes to know when to open up and when to close, but I'm hoping in your speeches that you're going to feel comfortable enough to open up in your speeches and show us who you are, what you think, what you value. Lastly, I have a public self and a private self, and I choose how much of each window to reveal to other people. Your public self, that's what I want to see. You might take some things that have normally been somewhat private and share them in your speeches, and that would be welcome. But the Johari window is explaining why and how you communicate. Let's turn to page 16, and we'll finish up with the social penetration theory, which is on the top half of page 16. This is a theory from 1973. These theories have been around for a little while, and this says the way you communicate to other people of who you are is like an onion. The outside of the layers of an onion are kind of loose, and as you get towards the center of the onion, or the heart of the onion, it's packed tighter. So on the outside of the onion, what does that represent? Well, biographical data. Sometimes you don't even have to communicate. You can all see I'm not 18 years old. You can sometimes see how old somebody is, what the color of their skin, eyes, or hair are. You can often see some biographical data, but sometimes not. Sometimes you just put out your hand and say, hi, my name's Johari Burnett, and you actually share some of the information about who you are. Those are things commonly shared with other people easily. The next section is your preferences in clothes, music, foods. A lot of times you don't have to talk about those either. People can see them. You pull up to a red light and the person next to you's got their radio going really loud. Oh my goodness, you can tell they love rap music or they love rock and roll. So sometimes we communicate our preferences to other people through these things. And that's not really intimate information. Now we're getting closer to the inside of the onion. Our goals and aspirations. Those are a little more private, but I hope you'll open up and share those with us in some of your speeches. It's not something you would turn around at the grocery store, for example, and say, hey, do you know what my goal is? My goal is to go to graduate school at Eastern Michigan University. No, you don't say those kind of things to strangers usually, but as you get to know people more, you do open up and tell them about your goals and aspirations, religious and political convictions. I welcome you to bring those topics to your speeches. Bring political and religious thoughts if that's important in your life. Maybe you care nothing about politics and you are an atheist or an agnostic and religion is far, far from your radar zone. But if you are a religious person or a political person, you're welcome to bring that to your speeches and you're welcome to share that with the class. Next are deeply held fears and fantasies, and finally, the concept of yourself, who you think you are. These usually are shared in the order of the onion, but not always. And I'm asking you in your speech, your Johari window speech, to open up and share with us some of these things that you automatically don't share with people standing in line. Thank you.